Welcome to Season 2 of Build and Grow, a series dedicated to helping businesses go beyond financial management to achieve financial growth, resilience, and innovation. As businesses continue to revive and pivot to new models in these times, Your Story is proud to partner with HSBC for another season of inspiring conversations, insights, and observations from some of the newest trendsetters in business and stalwarts of the ecosystem. Tune in to power your next phase of growth and business continuity.
Welcome to Your Story. Welcome to Season 2 of Build and Grow. Money Matters, a series dedicated to helping businesses go beyond financial management to achieve financial growth, resilience, and innovation. As businesses continue to revive and pivot to newer business models in these times, Your Story is proud to partner with HSBC for another season of inspiring conversations, insights, and observations from some of the newest trendsetters in business and stalwarts of the ecosystem to help businesses power the next phase of growth and business continuity. Today, we have with us Vikram Shekhawat, the founder of Pariksha, India's largest vernacular test preparation company for mobile-first internet users. Hi, how are you, Vikram?
I'm good. How are you, Vishal?
I'm very good. And thanks for being on the show. A little bit of introduction. He's an alumnus of SIBM. As BBC featured him as an entrepreneur, Vikram brings with him over 10 years of startup and corporate experience across banking, internet, and software sales. His role at Pariksha is to lead and align strategy, marketing, sales, alliances, product, and customer success. Is that a fair introduction, Vikram?
I guess it is. Thank you for having me.
No, thank you. Thanks for having Pariksha. You guys have more than 3 million users. You have 100,000 paid subscribers. How did this journey begin? And how has your journey been so far?
So the genesis of Pariksha was actually at IIM Ahmedabad. We all met at a B-Plan competition and then the core team was founded. Our journey of significant impact started with us identifying the state-specific exams. You'll be surprised to learn that a position like Patwari in a state like Madhya Pradesh has over 1 million aspirants. And this is only one state that we're talking about. Right now, if you look at the entire market, it will be 75 million aspirants preparing for different state-specific exams across the country. And to get there, we founders had to travel extensively to remote places like Jhabua in Madhya Pradesh, or let's say Chidawa in Rajasthan, Bastar, which probably is a Naxalite area in Chhattisgarh. And the kind of learning that you get at the ground level is unparalleled. When we first started, we would speak to aspirants and we would tell them that, if you join our platform, you'll be able to get your relative performance amongst 500 such people. And now that number is touching almost 3.5 million users. So This surely has been the change that we're pushing for. Our journey has been exceptional. From us touching lives of, let's say, a few hundred aspirants to now impacting almost a few million of them spread across the country and in various vernacular languages. And believe me, we have just touched upon the tip of the iceberg. We're yet to deep dive.
And you're one of the older edtech companies in India. You've been around since 2015. Right, you want to talk about you want to talk about those 5 years and how it began in the early days, or like you said, you went in Axel areas to understand are there aspirants who want to use test prep, right, as an app or whatever. You want to tell us how Pariksha in that sense, right, figured out the toughest part is to go to smaller towns and cities.
See, when we started in 2015, we wanted to operate a SaaS-based model. We wanted to empower offline coaching institutes to go online. And that's when we were building our SaaS product. While two of my other co-founders were still students at IIT Kanpur. While they were studying, the college reached out to them and they said, can you help us build something for campus placement? Because that was something which was picking up. A lot of companies were asking for two kind of assessments, aptitude and skill assessment. So one had to do a coding exam and then they had to clear an aptitude assessment to check if the person was an organizational fit or not. So that picked up really well. We started dominating the supply side of the market. We were helping almost 400 colleges across the country, and close to about 12 to 13 lakh aspirants graduate every year from IITs of the country, or engineering colleges rather, in total. And we were helping almost 6 lakh of them on the computer science side. So on the supply side, we were becoming the biggest. In 2018, we were one of our co-founder, he traveled to an area, and that's how we figured out that a position like Patwari is too big.
Yes.
We have about 1 million aspirants, and in total, if you look at the entire space that we were about to touch initially, the number would have been limited. And
Okay.
we realized that nobody is focusing on that market because you can't crack that market by sitting in a fancy office in a place like Mumbai, Bangalore, or Delhi. You had to have feet on street, and that's when the traveling started. So all four of us, we have traveled extensively. I think we've covered almost 90 cities, and we took the learning from these cities and then started pushing our product into the market. And eventually we realized that this was a need-based product. So we didn't have to work too hard on it. We just had to ensure that people get to know about it. And there was word of mouth publicity. In fact, a good number of our users are actually organic users.
Nice.
We don't really
Nice.
push
Okay. Vikram, I wanted to ask you another question. We were talking about the smaller towns and how you crack them, and there are a lot of aspirants. Did you ever feel that edtech is a crowded market? How did you go about positioning and differentiating yourself in this test prep space? It was crowded back in 2016-17. How did you acquire and grow your customer base?
See, I would say that I differ here a bit in terms of how we look at the entire edtech market. I think there is red ocean and then there is blue ocean. So if you look at K-12 or entrance exam or national exams, they are extremely crowded. And these are well-funded markets as well.
Correct.
We call them typically the red ocean, where there are too many players fighting for the same customer. But if you look at the exams that we are talking about, the state-specific segment of the category that we're talking about, that's the blue ocean. Not too many people have tried too hard. Like I said, that this is not a market that you can crack by sitting in a fancy office. You have to have feet on street. And I have not seen many founders take that kind of effort because, from a ticket size perspective, the other ones look a lot lucrative initially. If you don't look at the entire game, then the red ocean would look exciting. But when you go to the blue ocean and when you start selling there, that's when you figure out that the market is huge. The potential is huge. And the impact that one can make in that market is significant. We have not seen any other company creating an impact like this or working at a scale at which we are operating here. It's a need-based market with a significant gap in what the aspirants want and what they're actually getting.
Nice.
We
Nice.
are facilitators of success for these guys.
Okay, and you mentioned earlier that the reason for the growth of the 3 million users has been because of the hard work of the founders, and also the hard work of the founders also means that a lot of capital comes to you, and you have some of the biggest names in the business, venture catalysts, the VCATs, Six Sense Ventures, Bharat Inclusion Fund, Let's Venture, NCR Angels, and 9 unicorns who I was not aware of. They were part of this journey of yours. And what was that experience like? What are some of the strategies you can share from day one, 2015, when you started building this and you knew that parallelly you had to go raise funds because you were right, the K-12 segment has raised stupendous amounts of money. And for test prep, it is important to also raise money because it's a relevant topic and need of the hour. Go on.
Right. So, see, for us, I think the co-founders, the team that we've had has been exceptional. Everybody takes their responsibility very, very seriously. And as far as the investors go, I think nothing sells like conviction, belief, and confidence. And you can't have any of these if you have doubts around your business model or approach or your go-to-market strategy. We have built it by working with aspirants who've been preparing for these exams for a long time. Like I said, we've traveled to tier 3, tier 4 buckets to learn about the challenges of the market. Our learning is not based on some survey. Okay, it's by interacting with the masses. So we know how important these jobs are for aspirants, and we know that this can change their lives, and we know how crucial a role we can play in changing that for them. I think the set of investors that you're talking about now know it as well. They have been extremely, extremely supportive. We've been lucky that our investors, the Bharat Inclusion, NCR Angels, Let's Venture, 9 unicorns, all of them, they have a firm belief that we guys will be making the next biggest impact in this market. In fact, I'm happy to share that NCR Angels, the first investment that they've made in the country has been in Pariksha. As far as the strategies would go, I would say that anyone who's looking to raise investment has to identify that blue ocean and not focus on the red one.
Okay.
They have to spend time exploring that market. You have to give it time, understand it. Once you've done that and you are extremely confident about what you're doing, then there's no stopping it. Then you should go ahead and seek investment. And you will find people who believe in the vision and the idea that you have.
So you're saying build business and parallelly raise money.
Yes, yes. See, like I said, for us, it's a need-based market. While we were building this, we knew that there's a significant gap which is already there. So all we had to do was bridge it. There's a lot of pull sales that happens or pull acceptance that happens rather than the push from our side. So for us, the organic customers have been, or the organic users have been 66% of our total user base.
Nice.
And we operated an extremely low CAC, and not just in India, but I think extremely low CAC in the entire edtech space. So for us, it was, balancing it out from a perspective that we were letting the investors know that this is all is happening on the business side of it, and they were too keen to invest because they knew rather that once we get funded, we'll be able to scale it way faster than what we were doing in the past.
Very well said. Very well said. Recently, I was reading in the daily papers that you raised a pre-series A round, and led by Bharat Inclusion Seed Fund. What does that roadmap look like now that you've raised this fresh round of funding?
So for us, this round of investment will help us in going deep in all the areas where we are operating and go wide in terms of adding new offerings on the platform. Our intention obviously is to cover the length and breadth of the space, eventually moving into other segments as well. We will strengthen our current delivery mechanism and ensure that we give our users the best first row experience that they can get, and also build a strong foundation with this money so that we can close our Series A, which is likely to happen in the next few months.
Okay, well said. And we cannot ignore the current year. The financial year is yet to end,
Right.
because the current financial year is all about the pandemic, and hopefully we'll all be out of it soon. But what was the impact in terms of business? How did it hurt your business? Being a digital first brand, right? Obviously, I was telling you that edtech would have worked and it would have worked in your favor.
Right.
But how has this year been so far in terms of growth and engagement?
Honestly, I think digital first was the need of the hour. You cannot disrupt this market with a traditional approach or with all the traditional methods available. You will have to pick the best of the online world or the advantages of technology and club it with the best of the offline setup in terms of credibility, or create an overall experience that manages to ignite love for learning. Okay. Our growth has been substantial, both in terms of users on the platform and number of aspirants moving to paid programs after trying out a freemium model.
Yeah, okay.
We are definitely witnessing a mindset change of the aspirants who were willing to try out online given the current pandemic situation. So a lot of people were forced to, but thankfully for us, or not just for us as a company, but I think in the entire edtech space, all the companies have moved at least 2 to 3 years ahead in terms of what they could have done in terms of their growth.
I agree.
Any edtech player who is able to deliver structured and credible content laid with the best-in-class technology at an extremely low cost and a user-friendly manner will reap the benefits even on the other side of the pandemic as well.
Okay, would you consider that a pivot of sorts for many of them in your industry because of COVID-19? You said, what was supposed to happen in 3 years happened in just 7-8 months.
Right.
I'd like to know a little bit more on how did you do this? Like you said, you need to forge partnerships. You need to change your business model from a freemium to a subscription model. Is that the new normal for businesses, constant change?
So I think, from an offering perspective, we've always had the freemium side. That's basically to give a taste of what we can do for our aspirants or what we can do for our customers. That has always been there with us. The approach has sort of shifted from what we were doing initially on the offline side as well. So before COVID happened, we used to have something called as a Safalta card, which was a physical card, more like a scratch card that you can take and scratch it and use a code behind it to activate your subscription. That had to be discontinued after the because nobody was moving in and around the offline centers. We had to push the gears on the online digital side of it. We had to add more number of people on the support side of it, because the market where we operate, which is tier 3, tier 4, there people need support in just doing a transaction, helping them understand what a CVV is, what an expiry is. The debit card or the ATM card are the same thing that they're talking about. So it was more about educating these guys and facilitating transactions. Apart from this, like all the other organizations who have survived and thrived during the pandemic, we had to make some changes internally as well. From a team perspective, we made 3 clear changes. One was to keep our communication clear and precise, so that everyone knew what is expected from them and that they are responsible for the piece that they manage. Second was to ensure that everybody is moving fast. They are adapting to the changes fast. They are more focused on the execution rather than just ideating. And the third one was to create this sense of ownership in all the team members so that we don't have to push them. They were self-driven to perform. And I'm happy, honestly, that the team we have is extremely well aligned to the mission of helping aspirants, that each one has stepped up now and made growth possible for us.
Okay, last year you launched India's largest vernacular edtech advertising campaign during the IPL, right? It was on Hotstar. Did that increase your market share, or did it increase your dominance in the test prep space?
So the learning was significant from that campaign. Honestly, we had not done any significant, sizable campaign like the one that we did with Hotstar. So ensuring that the campaign delivers was extremely important. All of us were very focused on what is it that we would send out, the kind of messaging that we wanted, or the kind of ads that we wanted. So a good learning experience, but we've seen that the same set of ads have performed way better on the affiliate marketing channel and the targeted advertising that we do through different platforms available online. From a ROI perspective, more than the Hotstar, the other channels have worked better for us. But like I said, the learning has been immense. The message was well received by our target market. That's all that we wanted.
Okay, so what are the biggest challenges in the test prep ecosystem today? Everybody believes that yes, digital is the future. But I mean, I believe that India's edtech problems have not been solved yet.
Absolutely.
Because it's such a young virgin market, right? So what does sustainability mean to you? What does intuitive user onboarding and engagement mean to you as a business?
So for us, I think we're solving two major problems in this market. One is the challenge of accessibility, and the other is the challenge of affordability. Accessibility of credible content and affordability of the same in tier 3, tier 4 location of the country, where majority of our target market is. We believe our product and its delivery need to be exceptional for us to drive engagement and user acquisition. As long as you are adding significant value for the end user, growth honestly will take care of itself. As long as you stay connected to the end user in the remotest area and focus on making them realize their dream, you will grow. For the edtech space, categorically, everyone put together, the biggest of the companies operating in the edtech space, everyone has just scratched the surface of this market. There's way more potential. You will see not one, but multiple $100 billion companies coming out of it, not only on the valuation side, but making large level impact at the ground level as well. Because a lot of people were apprehensive that the kind of market that we're operating in, will that have the paying appetite? And trust me, if you are giving them what these guys want, you give them an equal opportunity at a job, they will pay.
Well said, well said. That's the reason they will also pay, because you're in local languages. Right,
Absolutely.
you support 6 local languages, and do you plan to foray into other languages in the near future? What are the main languages? What are some of these languages? Please let us know.
So we are working on launching our content in Telugu, Punjabi, and Gujarati. These languages are coming soon. These are good sized markets, and we see huge potential in them as well. We already cater to 6 of them.
Okay, lovely. So the 6 of them includes obviously Hindi, right? Tamil,
Kannada, Tamil.
Very nice. Very well said. Well, that's great to know, because this is also a sizable market, right? And what has been the experience like from these vernacular users?
So the acceptability goes significantly up as soon as you give them the content in the language that they understand, or their first language of preference. Like I said, the organic growth that we've seen has been riding on the vernacular content that we've made available on the platform. So typically, most of the platforms that you would see are now trying to foray into other languages. I think we have a first mover advantage there. But for them, it will take some time, because each market that you operate in is different from the other one. Each state, for that matter, in the country operates, and the mindset that people have is a little different from the previous one that we have operated. But vernacular is the way going forward, not just for us, but for everyone who's operating in the edtech space. And there's huge potential here.
Okay. And, I have to ask you this. I've been hearing, gossip about your new fundraise. Okay. So I'd love to know, is that true, one, and that you're raising money from foreign and domestic VCs? Can you tell us a little bit about that, if it's true at all?
So the interest has been huge.
Okay.
We are in advanced level discussions with a few large VCs. And I think it's just a matter of time when we make the news official. I would name them only when we have the formalities done, but you should hear about it soon.
I'd love to hear about it and write about it, and the audience would also hear about it, I'm sure. Guys, but I'm sure you'll also appreciate that, what's going to happen in the next 18 months? What is the learning that Pariksha can give us in the next 1 year or so? So what would it be for you? What is the strategy for the next 12 months? I mean, you said you're going to start Telugu as a language and a few
Right.
more,
Right.
which is interesting. From a business point of view, what else can we expect?
So you can expect that the revenues from all the markets that we're operating in would double. We would be entering into new markets, the languages that we talked about. We intend to double the users not just double, but in fact, add about 150% of the users at where we are currently in the next 12 months. And focus on ensuring that the first row experience that I talked about is being taken care of. We want to ensure that when somebody looks at us, they see the value that they can get out of us from a user's perspective. And from the investor side, the value that you create for your end users, if that number goes up, the valuation takes care of itself.
Well said, really well said. Because there's a show on entrepreneurship also, I'd love you to give some advice, because things are coming back to normal, right? What's going to happen next few months? Do you see businesses rebound? I see the stock markets have already rebounded in many ways. Obviously, it's seen a downturn over the last 3 days, but what do you think will happen this year per se in terms of the economy, in terms of business? And what advice would you give to aspiring entrepreneurs? Go for it this year, or would you say be a bit more cautious?
Honestly, as far as the space where we are operating, it's an exciting space. We have seen a lot of growth, not just us, but all the edtech players. If, like I said, you are able to continue adding the same value that people are perceiving in you right now, you will survive on the other side as well. As far as the entire economy goes, I think people need to be very clear about where they're spending money, be very cautious, spend money very wisely, and at the same time, ensure that you don't let go of any opportunities that you could have capitalized on. So honestly, for budding entrepreneurs, I think the future of a country will be decided by such aspiring entrepreneurs, and not just in education, but in every sector, as long as they're determined to solve a genuine problem at scale. And in order to do that, one needs to look at a long-term play. One should step into this only if they are willing to take this risk and enter in this looking at least a decade before success starts happening. It appears to be fascinating from the outside, but it comes with its own set of hurdles and glories. And your biggest risk won't be occasional failures, but it will be the sustained mediocrity. So as long as you're willing to work on exceptional ideas with an exceptional team, with exception in mind as far as the end game is concerned, you should jump into this and you will grow.
That's phenomenally said. That's the truth of it, right? You need to have great team, exceptional idea, and perseverance. And that's really well said. And because we're talking money matters, I love your financial ideology. What do you think of when it comes to finance? How do you grow your money? How do you plan your life personally and professionally?
I am a big fan of Warren Buffett. I resonate a lot with his ideologies. I feel that you should only spend on things that you need, or you wouldn't have money to spend when you actually need it. I respect money. We focus as a company, as an individual, I focus a lot on ROI. It can be in terms of learning, it can be in terms of revenue, it can be in terms of improving efficiency, but one has to spend money wisely. You have to spend each rupee like it's your own, and you will get the worth out of it. Burning money is easy, but growing money is difficult. So focus on value, not on price, while making buying choices, and you will become money wise.
And I'm sure that all of you can actually subscribe to Pariksha also because it makes you wiser. It prepares you. So money spent wisely is something that he advises you. Very, very well said. Again, Vikram, obviously this is sponsored by HSBC,
Right.
and I'd love your thoughts around what are your expectations from banks when it comes to work with startups and growing companies, modern age digital companies.
So I expect the banks to understand that each business today would present its own unique challenges. How quickly you comprehend those challenges and how quickly you resolve the challenges would be the deciding factor for the growth, not only for the companies that they're working with, but for the bank and the economy. I recommend that they remain compliant, they remain diligent, but at the same time, one needs to be flexible and iterative in their approach. And I think HSBC is on the right track. They have a lot of whiteboard sessions with all the companies that they're working with, and will turn out to be an exceptional partner for everyone.
That's wonderfully said. This has been one of the nicest panels. You've been so succinct in your answers. It's been an inspiring show for me because EdTech is such a huge market and it has to solve so many problems, a lot of pressure on founders such as yourself. But it's a beautiful journey if you have a beautiful team, and if you spend your money wisely and you know where your technology is solving a problem, and you're India's largest vernacular test prep company. So that speaks volumes about you. So thank you for being on Money Matters and all the best to you. Guys, we'll get him to answer more of your questions. Send it to us. Thank you very much, Vikram.
Thank
and
you.
This is Money Matters, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.